Welcome to round 3 of the Mobile 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship, the Perth Scottish Rally. Gwyndaf Evans, Ford Escort, leads the championship and he leads the field here. Mark Higgins back in action after his dramatic accident in Kielder Forest on the Pirelli. Former Ladies World Rally champion Louise Aitken-Walker comes out of retirement. There were trips to the lowlands and highlands of Scotland during the 650-mile route. Day 1 took the cars south to the classic border stages. Then it was off to the hills for the rough stages and big drops in the west. With the Escort Cosworths of Alistair McRae and Harry Mockanen missing this event, the top 10 seeds are all Formula 2 cars. Gwyndaf Evans was number 1 away, ahead of teammate Jarmo Cutuletto. After a disappointing retirement on the previous round, Cutuletto was determined to do great things. He was the Formula 2 winner here last year in a Vauxhall Astra and soon took the F2 lead again. But Cutuletto wasn't having it all his own way by any means. This is Tapio Laukkanen in full flight, using every inch of the track. Tapio was squeezing every ounce of power from the VW Golf and started trading places with Cutuletto at the head of the group. A spin on the 4th stage, Craig, dropped him just 4 seconds behind his fellow Finn. The battle was well and truly on. The Scottish is renowned as being the sunny rally of the championship, but not this year. The changeable conditions suited Group N Mitsubishi Lancer driver Harry Rovanperä down to the ground. He was fastest on the 1st stage and held that lead. Robbie Head, driving the Renault Megane, hasn't managed to finish either of the first 2 rounds of the championship so far. Following the kit car success, winning the F2 World Championship Rally of Corsica in the hands of Filip Bugalski, Robbie was full of hope here in his native Scotland. But a good result suddenly looked a little less likely.
I was probably just trying a bit too hard near the finish, only about half a kilometre from the finish, a left-hander, and the back just slid a bit too wide, and the car ended up spinning into a log pile. We had to reverse and then drive forward and reverse and then make our way, so it cost probably 20 seconds, you know, so my fault. I'm just glad to get here because usually you're interviewing me and I've not got this far.
Head and co-driver Brian Thomas were just outside the top 10 after their brush with the logs. Teammates Serge Jourdan and Jacques Boyer were finding the gravel more to their liking than before and putting in good times. But there would be bad news on the horizon for the Renault camp on the 2nd stage at Elibank. Watch this.
In a long corner, there was a bump with a stone and the engine fixation broke.
Oh, the engine mountings?
Yes, the engine down and bumped the radiator.
So that's it, you're out. The end of the rally for you.
It stopped, yes.
The unusual conditions continued. Wet 1 minute, dry the next. Neil Simpson's RS2000 looked to be going well, but he too was in trouble.
We've done 2 stages now, about 18 miles in total, with only 3rd gear. And we're having problems now repairing the problem. So we're late out of service here now, so we're going to be running quite late on the road, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, at the top end of the field, the pace was electric. Championship leaders Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davies claimed to be driving in a no-risk way which would protect their championship lead. Nevertheless, they clocked fastest time of the entire rally on the 6-mile stage at Castle Ower. The Welshmen were on song.
7 left. 7 left. And 6 right sharp.
40 miles of stages have been completed as the cars left the Twigley stage. Gwyndaf looked in control, but perhaps it wasn't all plain sailing after all.
She was turning over, but she just wouldn't start. And luckily we got some spectators and marshals to push us into the control. And eventually started in reverse, but there was a lot of smell of rubber. You can see now it's not turning over properly now. Hopefully they can find it now. I'm glad it's repeated itself.
Jarmo Cutuletto looked right on the pace, leading the Formula 2 contest from Evans. But he seemed to think he could go even faster.
It's going quite well, but we need to find some speed, more speed.
More speed? But you're leading the Formula 2 and everything very happily.
Only 1 second.
Oh, 1 second, right.
It's not too much, but it's enough.
Tapio Laukkanen had held the lead of F2 briefly and was determined to regain it with his characteristically fierce driving. Laukkanen was second fastest on the Twigley stage, but there were problems looming. Listen carefully.
About 1 mile before the end, the last stage, a gearbox started to give a bad noise, and then after the time control it jammed totally. Now we have to change it anyway.
The SBG mechanics knew they were up against time and had less than 15 minutes to change the gearbox. Fortunately, Jukka Puhaka's Golf needed no attention, and he made his way out of one of the most congested service areas anyone has ever seen. The Scottish Rally organisers had allocated a small T-shaped section of forestry road at Sandyford as a service area. As dozens of vans and management cars tangled with the rally cars trying to get in and out, chaos ensued. Tempers frayed as engineers and team personnel took on the role of car park attendants. Finding service areas is difficult, of course, but this should never have been used. The leading Mitsubishi Lancer of Harry Rovanperä and Juha Repo never even made it to its service van and set off into the next stage without its planned tyre change. Although the jam had cleared, Laukkanen's gearbox change had now cost him 1 minute 40 seconds in penalties.
After his previous championship excursion had ended in a hospital bed, Mark Higgins was simply happy to be back behind the wheel. Competing with heavy strapping to his injured spine and with a seat filled with enough foam to fill a three-piece suite, Higgins was posting some impressive times.
Press long into deceptive right 3. Deceptive right 3 defeated. Then left press on rest. 15 press left. Then left 2 flat.
He kept in touch with the leading runners in Formula 2 using a lightweight version of his Sonny. Higgins was holding fourth among the Formula 2 contenders through the early stages. His Nissan teammate, the Turkish driver Ercan Kazaz, was truly on foreign soil. Ercan was finding it tough going on his first visit to the Scottish event, even with the welcome support of his girlfriend. His first taste of Scottish conditions, a real test. Tyre problems didn't help, and he struggled to stay with the pace. The 1990 Ladies World Rally champion Louise Aitken-Walker was rolling back the years. Away since 1992 to concentrate on family life, on her return to her beloved southern Scottish tracks, it seemed as though she'd never been away. With new co-driver Claire Mole, she established a narrow overnight lead in the ladies' contest. Another of the Hondas, driven by David Higgins, was enjoying quite a tussle with one of the revelations of the opening 2 rounds, Lars Goran Andersen. Higgins held the advantage through pit Medden. Our split screen shows that there was little to choose between Higgins on the top left and Andersen on the bottom right. The Swede, though, was to take a 14-second advantage into the overnight halt. Aboard his Mitsubishi Lancer, Finland's Olli Harki was doing his bit to maintain a strong Finnish Group N challenge and anxious to avoid a repeat of Mitsubishi's double whammy in the previous round. Remember this? And this. Rovanperä. Thankfully, both were keeping their Mitsubishis on the right track north of the border. Rovanperä outpacing his challengers from the very first stage.
For the last 30 years or more, Finland has always been considered as the breeding ground for rally drivers. But one of the features of our championship this year is that a whole load of them have descended upon us.
This British Championship, it has been a very important for me because I think it's been like one step forward in my career.
Who's going to be the next big star?
I don't know. Maybe Juuso Pykälistö is next.
You're very modest. I thought you'd say you would be.
Yes, but he's my friend.
So what do you think of this British Championship?
Yeah, longer race and very big stones in Pirelli, but I like the roads. They're a bit more different in Finland, but I liked it.
Why do you think so many young Finnish drivers are here this year?
I don't know. This is getting very good popularity everywhere in Finland and everywhere in the world. Maybe that's the one reason.
What is the encouragement in Finland for rallying?
we have a budget for educating them in driving and navigating in every sort of rally things.
And where does that budget come from?
From Federation, Finnish Sport Federation.
These young Finns, I mean, why do they have this passion about rallying, do you think, as youngsters there?
I think it's sort of virtually inbred into to Finnish motorists. It's the sort of third-ranking national sport in Finland, and I think I've often said that I think perhaps the average Finnish driver or average Scandinavian driver is probably 10 times better than, I shall get a lot of stick for this, the average British driver. But I think it's brought about because of the fact that they are driving on quite to us quite dangerous surfaces most of the year, and they become very accustomed to driving it, so they have a lot of naturally inbuilt talents and skill, I think.
So who's the next big Finnish superstar?
You're just talking to him.
Well, modest to a fault, let's see if Tapio Laukkanen in action speaks as loud as his words.
Oikein koukut aukee, 200. Lyhyt vasen nopea plus 20, lyhyt oikein nopea risteys sisältä. Siis 20 oikein nopea sisältä, lyhyt. 150. Oikein nopea plus 70. Vaseri kirraa lopussa ja nyt oikein K50.
Onwards across the Firth of Forth, and the spectators out in force for 2 Knock Hill tarmac stages. And so to bed at the end of the first leg. With Tapio Laukkanen forced out of the rally when his second gearbox failed, Robbie Head's tarmac expertise helped nose him ahead of Jouko Puhakka on the leaderboard. Above them, Ollie Harkey, Scotland's Murray Grierson, Mark Higgins, Gwyndaf Evans, Kutaleto, and the overall leader, Harry Rovanperä. Refreshed and raring to go, Rovanperä started day 2, anxious to put some daylight between himself and his rivals. Heading the chasing pack, Jarmo Kutaleto set about cutting a 15-second deficit. Kutaleto would need eyes in the back of his head, though, on the second leg, with British Championship leader Gwyndaf Evans hoping to push him all the way. Evans was maintaining his title drive with another consistent display. He wasn't going to allow his rivals to chop his championship lead. Meanwhile, Mark Higgins was tucked in just 17 seconds further back.
30, left 3, into right 3, left 5, 50, left 6 of a crest, and max crest, 60, crest, and left 4 plus, into right 2 plus.
His progress looked smooth enough, though Higgins wasn't entirely happy.
We started off a bit slowly, and I think I made a wrong tyre choice on the first stage, and unfortunately we dropped pretty well more in that stage than what we lost to the hole yesterday. So a bit of catch up to do today to try and get back up.
Nissan teammate Ercan Kazaz was trying hard to fulfil his Eastern promise. Ercan was battling gamely to get used to the unfamiliar Scottish conditions. After their bitter experiences in Carlisle, Nissan were being given a better run for their money here. Kazaz in particular growing in confidence as the event wore on.
I enjoy the roads very much, but we have a traction problem since yesterday, and we had an alternator problem. So, I mean, we can't quite sort of drive the car in the right pace. This is our problem at the moment.
Former Scottish champion Murray Grierson held 5th place at the halfway stage. He'd been getting used to his right-hand drive Impreza, but the main problem was a broken centre differential, which gave the car two-wheel drive handling characteristics. Because of this, on day 2, Grayson gave a large rock a hefty thump to the detriment of the Impreza's bodywork.
He just came down a very slippy left-hander. It's a big rock on the outside, and we've just been going a little bit too fast, slid wide, just hit the rock, spun round about, lost quite a bit of time actually, so struggling now.
There was a minor moment for the flying Cutoletto when an overhanging branch got in the way. Co-driver's side, of course. Ollie Harkey in his Group N Lancer seemed slightly off the pace on the Scottish, and no match for Rovan Pera in a similar car. Nevertheless, he was lying second in Group N and 4th overall by day 2. Yuko Pohaka has a novel approach to difficult hairpins. Just drive over the bank and hang the consequences. He was in 8th. Rally leader Rovan Pera could do no wrong on this rally, but even he didn't come away completely unscathed. After a pre-event engine problem, Rovan Pera had been praying that it would hold out. Now he faced another problem service area. Everyone was squashed at the roadside as the gate to the proper site was well and truly padlocked. As the rally leaders took their battles westwards towards Argyll and Bute, there were further tussles going on among the young hopefuls behind them. 25-year-old Justin Dale was not only leading the hotly contested Peugeot Junior Championship in his 306, but was also incredibly highly placed in the Formula 2 rankings.
The overall championship, I mean, you're figuring very highly in that. How surprised are you at that?
Very surprised, yeah. When we got to the finish of the Pirelli last month, we couldn't believe it. We thought they were joking when they said we was joint second. So I don't know how we're doing today, though.
The leading junior player on the Scottish Rally was Ryan Champion from Yorkshire in 29th position overall.
There's a lot of big bumps and jumps, and it's taken its toll on the car, and there's a few bits hanging off it, but they'll put them all back on. So.
What's the competition like between you and Justin Dale and the other guys?
It's been very close. I mean, we're all swapping seconds, and it's sometimes too close for the heart, you know. But no, it's very good, yeah.
Also swapping seconds and giving himself the odd fright in the process in the hot battle at the head of F2 was Gwyndaf Evans, with Howard Davis reading the notes.
6 right, 30, K4 left, 30, K4.
There was now only a quarter of the 130 stage miles left. But as he came to the end of the island stage and into the service area in Glenbranta Forest Village, Gwyndaf Evans looked to have problems.
Since we've got a long 16-miler to do, I think because of the championship it's best not to chance it and change the box, maybe drop some road penalties here.
The gearbox was changed by the mechanics in less than 15 minutes, and Evans set off in hot pursuit 20 seconds behind Cutoletto. Could he make it up? Cutoletto knew that the Welshman was after him and lost 10 seconds to Evans on the 16 miles Glen Shellish stage. There was now less than 7 miles of stages left. It was virtually certain a Ford would win the F2 category. The question was, which one? The head-to-head battle down in the early teens was still going on. Lars Goran Andersen was pedalling his Opel Corsa indecently fast. But a broken drive shaft handed this particular contest to David Higgins in his Asquith Honda Civic. For all of the final stages, Higgins had to hold the gear stick in position and steer with one hand. For the first time in the series, Skoda's bad luck seemed to have been left behind, and Steve Wedgbury finished third in class in the Felicia. In the A5 class, Midlander Adam Kent brought his Peugeot 106 to the head of the hotly contested group.
We've got Jim Smith in the Nova and Nick Barrow, who always flies in his little Mini, and they're having a bit of a head-to-head at the moment, so hopefully one of them will... No, I wasn't going to say one of them will fall off, was I? No, they're having ever such a good battle behind, so hopefully they'll leave it there.
Jim Smith from Blairgowrie was introduced to rallying when he won the first Top Gear Rally Quest competition in 1988. Now he's firmly hooked on the sport and leading his class in the championship in his Opel Corsa.
What are they like, these big hills in this small car with a low engine?
Ach, they're not too bad. You just don't press the brakes. You just fly over all the bumps. So, yeah, not too bad at all.
The little Mini still raises cheers whenever it goes rallying, and Nick Barrow brought his 1.3 Mini Cooper into a second-class position. Barrow is accompanied by the veteran Welsh co-driver Howell Thomas. As a result of this rally, Barrow is second in the A5 Championship class to Jim Smith, with Adam Kent in third place.
Louise Aitken-Walker was enjoying a relatively trouble-free return to championship rallying, her SW Motorsport Civic proving a more than willing accomplice. From her position at the head of the ladies' contest, she was able to judge those ladies keen to follow her example.
I think we've given a few people a good incentive to go a lot quicker. I think Steph's driving really well today, really well. They're difficult stages, but, you know, she's going really well. I'm pleased for her.
Indeed, the Simonite sisters did appear to be relishing their close-fought duel with the pass master.
Hairpin left. Right 4, sudden, sharp, hairpin left. Left 3, jump to short right 5 to slippy.
For Stephanie Simonite, a head-to-head with Aitken-Walker was something to savour.
When you entered rallying a couple of years ago, you said Louise was your heroine, and here you are sort of competing with her. How does that feel?
It feels good, actually. You know, yes, we did look up to her, and here we are, you know, the first time we've ever competed against each other, and it's done my driving the world of good. It's really up my pace and a lot more controlled and actually going for it. Something to really, really aim for.
In the end, experience proved the key. Louise, 28th overall. The Simonites just 30 seconds further back. Though they weren't the only ladies on the road. Another of the challengers, Jenny Davis.
The stages are really nice, but unfortunately we just we hit a gate post on second last stage, and we didn't actually do any bodywork damage, but unfortunately we've kind of bent the back beam, and as a result my mechanics are trying to change it rapidly so we can get out to the next stage, because it's handling a bit strangely and the steering wheel's kind of like twisted, etc. And before that we had a puncture, so today's not going as well as it was yesterday, but hopefully we're going to finish. That's my intention.
Gladly, the problems were ironed out, the car was kicked back into life, Jenny's rally rolled on.
Hopefully one day, you know, we might have a all-female rally team. But I think I'll be the manager. I'm getting too old for this game, Tony.
Finland's new boy Juuso Pikalisto ran away with Class N3, a winner by a full 11 minutes. Neil Weirden saw a steady improvement as clubman Peugeot safely home. David Higgins's Honda lasted the pace too, a top 20 finish. Turkish delight for Ercan Kazaz, a top 20 finish on his Scottish debut. Jock Armstrong clearly benefited from home advantage, the Scot neck and neck with Kazaz in the championship. Yuko Puhaka maintained his consistent showing, another high finish. After his Kielder calamity, a shaken Mark Higgins returned with a stirring drive and 5th overall. For David Mann, satisfaction guaranteed, another good result for the Proton he debuted in the Pirelli. Mika Korhonen content too, and he now leads the Group N Production Cup. Ollie Harkey kept his act together for second in class, leaving him third in the Group N Cup. Brian Lyle managed to squeeze into the top 10, one of 3 homegrown drivers to make the frame. Robbie Head was another. After a miserable start to the year, his Renault Megane came good. And Murray Grierson maintained home pride, 7th overall in his 4x4 Subaru. In the championship stakes, Gwyndaf Evans tackled the rest and be thankful stage, knowing time was running out on his bid to catch Jarmo Kutuletto. But the Finn wasn't for failing, and by just 13 seconds, he hung on.
Well done, Jarmo. Very good.
Thank you.
Second year in succession.
We had the troubles. We came last few hundred meters without the brakes, and
really, just now?
Yes, just now.
But unconcerned by the tussle for championship points, Harry Rovanperä emerged as the rally winner.
Congratulations, Harry. How does that feel? What about that?
Thank you. Very, very fantastic feel now.
So Harry Rovanperä, the overall winner, Jarmo Kutuletto second, Gwyndaf Evans in third, then Ollie Harkey, Mark Higgins and Robbie Head. Which all leaves Gwyndaf Evans still heading the Mobile 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship, 27 points back, Yuko Puhaka, then it's Kutuletto and Higgins. And in the manufacturers contest, Ford still lead the way, Nissan and Volkswagen trailing behind. So the plaudits in Perth went to Harry Rovanperä.
Vasen nopea liukas ja oikein nopea plus. Ja lyhyt vasen ja pitkä oikein nopea plus, liukas 20. Oikein nopea ja vasen nopea 20. Oikein K ja lyhyt vasen täysmiinus sisältä 30. Lyhyt vasen nopea ja vasen täys 50. Lyhyt oikein nopea plus sisältä. Ja lyhyt vasen oikee K. Ja vasen oikee K 10. Vasen K plus. Siis vasen K plus 50. Lyhyt vasen eri yli 30. Lyhyt vasen nopea plus. Ja nyppy 30. Lyhyt oikee nopea plus. Ja pitkä oikee K 50. Pitkä oikee K kirraa 30. Pitkä oikee eri kirraa nopea lopussa. Siis pitkä oikee eri kirraa nopea lopussa. 10 vasen nopea 30. Nyppy oikee täys ja vasen eri plus 50. Nyppy vasemmalta vähäsen täysillä 200. Nyppy täys 50. Piru pitkä oikee K plus. Ja nyppy 20 vasen nopea plus. Siis nyppy 20 vasen nopea plus. Pitkä oikee K plus lopussa 30. Miinus oikee vasen ahdas sikaani. Siis miinus oikee vasen ahdas sikaani. Ja vasen nopea 50. Oikee täys 70. Vasen täys miinus, jatkuu nyppy 30. Vasen K, heti vasen eri plus yli 150. Pitkä oikee eri plus kirraa vähän 50. Oikee täys miinus 50. Nyppy vasemmalla 30, lyhyt oikee nopea plus sisältä. Siis nyppy 30, lyhyt oikee nopea plus sisältä. 20, oikee K sisältä. Liukasta 20, oikee nopea plus älä. 30, oikee nopea. Jatkuu nyppy 20. Oikein nopea 30, takavino vasen, siis oikein nopea 30, takavino vasen. 20. Ai saa. Lyhyt vaseri 20, oikein nopea 20, oikein nopea 300. Jotain rikki meiltä. Lukko tai joku. Lyhyt vasen nopea plus 20, lyhyt oikee nopea risteys sisältä. Siis 20 oikee nopea sisältä, lyhyt. 150. Oikee nopea plus 70. Vaseri kirraa lopussa ja nyt oikee K 50. Nyppy oikee täys 70, nyppy 50 alas, lyhyt oikee K 20, pitkä oikee nopea plus kirraa lopussa ahdas. Siis pitkä oikee nopea kirraa lopussa ahdas ja lyhyt vasen K älä 50. Vasen nopea ahdas silta lopussa, siis vasen nopea ahdas silta lopussa 50. oikea rippu yli 70. Nyppy täys, jatkuu oikea täys 30. Nyppy täys, jatkuu vasen täys miinus 150.